During the 1700s, Christianity expanded with the church at the center of daily life. Protestant faiths during this time were often decentralized and controlled by the leader of the state in which the church was in. Meanwhile, Catholic countries, just like Protestant countries, started controlling the Catholic Church in their lands, weakening papal influence. Papal decrees and edicts could even be censored in the most pious Catholic countries, such as Spain. Countries could even seize church assets at any time they wanted. Another way Catholic countries weakened papal influence was outright creating their own Catholic Church, more loyal to their state. This is best exemplified by the Gallican Church established in France, still Catholic but loyal to France. Papal influence was still strong, however, with Jesuits wielding much political influence, leading to their expulsion from such countries such as France after the establishment of the Gallican Church. This was not to say that the Catholic Church went unchallenged on the social level. The Enlightenment movement quickly spread throughout Europe, leading to enlightened monarchs such as Joseph II that abolished segregation of Jews. Enlightenment thinkers often criticized the Church, both Protestant and Catholic.
By the late 1600s, the Protestant Reformation had been widely accepted in many countries. Many practices such as idolatry and saint worship were abolished. However, many people had become complacent, and the growth and the power of the state threatened to stray people away from God. One German minister wrote, "The Lutheran Church had become paralyzed in the forms of dead doctrinal conformity." Many people realized that the change was needed, and thus the Protestant revival started. This revival began in Germany right before the turn of the century. It was called Pietism. Pietism encouraged a warm, emotional religion. It also taught the Bible to all. They also preached the idea of reborn Christians. In Prussia, Pietists were largely responsible for the educational reforms of the 18th century. Meanwhile, another group was growing in England. Enter John Wesley, a man coming from a long line of ministers who had become increasingly dissatisfied with the current state of religion in England. Wesley saw the government using religion to give high-paying jobs to favored people. He saw the skepticism brought on by the Enlightenment and the increasing divide between religion and daily life. During his time at Oxford, Wesley and his contemporaries were dubbed Methodists. While on a ship traveling to the city of Savannah in Georgia, he met a group of Moravian Pietists who inspired him with their peaceful, pious, and productive community. Upon his return to Europe, he met with a Pietist minister in Germany who prepared him for an emotional and mystical conversion which made a profound impact on Wesley. After returning to England, Wesley began to spread Methodism. Wesley personally traveled hundreds of thousands of miles over the next 40 years, preaching that all are capable of salvation. They denounced predestination and believed that anyone can be a true Christian.
At this time, religion was not just flourishing in Protestant Europe, but in Catholic Europe as well. Catholic Europe had some major differences. First of all, 95% of the population of Catholic Europe went to church during Easter. Baroque art was also still flourishing in Catholic Europe, with churches being adorned with it. The church's strength made it an integral part of the community, as Catholics put less emphasis on the Bible. Catholics would enthusiastically come together to celebrate religious holidays, such as the passage of the liturgical year. Each parish would also celebrate their own saint's day, and as part of the festivities, might march around the village or a local shrine. Protestants by this time had largely eliminated religious holidays and festivities. Throughout Europe, millions of Catholics joined religious associations known as confraternities, where they would pray, organize help for the poor, and organize members' funerals. Catholicism had its own version of the Pietist revival that shook Protestant Europe, with the Catholics movement known as Jansenism. It originated in the Spanish Netherlands with the Bishop of Ypres, Cornelius Jansen, who called for the return to the early Christianity of St. Augustine. It was outlawed by papal and royal edicts, but still picked up some steam in France. The French elites, who became Jansenists, were mostly members of the judiciary who used it as another way to oppose the monarchy in late 18th century France. The urban poor of France developed their own strain of Jansenism. The police of Paris ended up infiltrating these circles and conducting mass raids and arrests to stamp out these French people's supposed heresy.
In the countryside, many peasants continued to hold religious beliefs that were marginal to Christianity. These beliefs were often of obscure origin. On the feast of St. Anthony, for example, priests were expected to bless salt and bread for farm animals in order to protect them from disease. The ordinary person of the time period generally combined strong Christian faith with the wealth of time-honored superstitions. Religious authorities were inspired by the Reformation and sought to purify popular sovereignty. For example, a French priest criticized his superstitious parishioners, calling them baptized idolaters. French priests did not like these paganistic beliefs and thought that the Christians were regressing into pagan animals. The French priests were disappointed when they saw young men jumping over bonfires, which is supposed to help their crops grow. Each country had its own unique response to popular belief. In Austria, under Joseph II, peasants saw their religion being attacked, which resulted in growing tension between the educated elites and the common people. The growing disdain for popular beliefs led to the end of the persecution of witches in Europe. The elites dismissed the common people and stopped persecuting the witches. The last witch was executed in England in 1682, the same year France ended witchcraft trials. As Enlightenment ideas continued to spread in Europe, the mindsets of educated elites changed, but the common people still retained strong religious faith. People started shifting from unquestioned religious authority to a more enlightened point of view. These changes in religious belief laid the groundwork for the world we live in today.